The internet is ending. It's the end times of the internet. It was conceived of, it was born as ARPANET, it was turned into something that you navigate with a keyboard, and then it became something that you navigate with a mouse and a nice high definition screen. You clicked around, you used a keyboard on it. We saw Web 1.0, we saw Web 2.0, we saw Web 3, we saw the crypto boom, we saw the crypto bust, we see AI ramping up, and I'm here to tell you that it is the end of days for the internet. Things will never be the same again. And no, this isn't some Jensen hype speech. This isn't some loony AGI prediction. This is provable. This is happening. Everyone who is experimenting with advanced AI tools right now can see what is about to happen. It just needs to be productized for the masses. So today I'm going to tell you about what the internet is going to look like in the future, and it's going to be totally different. But before that, how did we get here, and what is the trend line of what's going on? Golden era of the user-driven internet. For all of the internet tasks that you typically do, you are the driver. You're driving the car, determining what you're going to do. Give you a couple of examples of that. Let's say you want to go buy from a big box store online, like Amazon. You open your browser, you type Amazon.com in, you go to Amazon.com, you search for flip-flops, you search around, you look at the reviews. Does it have enough 5-star reviews, or do people say that the strap breaks after only a couple of miles? You hunt for other shoes. You try to suss out, is this sponsored? Is this organic? If I order a Birkenstock, will it be an authentic Birkenstock, or will they send me a fake one, or one that somebody has returned before after wearing? Gross. And eventually, through much clicking, through much typing, you find your ideal sandal, the grail sandal. Another example, you go to pay your credit card and you realize it's pretty close on the bank balance this month. I better check into my spending. So you log into Bank of America, you click around, you forget your password, you open the password manager, you get the username and the password, you fill it in the fields. For some reason, it won't autocomplete anymore. You log in, you look at your transactions, you download the transactions as a CSV, you make a chart out of the transactions. You find that you've just been spending too much on artisanal coffee beans. You need to cut back on caffeine, on the artisanal aspect, and on the beans in the first place. So you make adjustments, you iterate, you clean up your spending, you make sure that you are in the black and not in the red, and you check again next month. This is the golden age of the user-driven web. You are necessary. You are the pilot. You drive the experience. Those days are ending. What will replace it is both incredible and horrifying, in ways that we cannot really properly conceive of, but we can theorize at, and I can provide a few likely directions there. What the internet is about to look like is it will be driven through conversation. Perhaps that will involve speaking to your phone. More than likely, it will involve typing into your phone or typing into your computer to begin. You have conversations with your computer about what clothing you want to wear, about how you're in the market for new sandals, about how you're in the market for some pair of shoes, about how you're in the market for a whole wardrobe of new clothing and you don't really know what to wear because you've just been wearing the same stuff that you've worn since high school. So could you please make a recommendation? And you type this into the thinking machine, and the thinking machine cogitates, it dilly-dallies, it flip-flops, it ruminates, it obsesses. It mines the data. It continues to monitor the situation for you, and it comes back with your ideal wardrobe. It orders it for you. It's under budget. You don't need to approve it because you've approved a certain amount of spend for the machine. You don't check your Bank of America balance anymore. That's not because you don't care. It's because you don't have time. Also, you don't care. When you grab a Phil's coffee 3 days in a row, like most San Francisco D-bags in tech, you wake up the next morning to an alert saying that you need to cool it on your spending, and maybe you should consider Starbucks or just brewing something at home. That's an issue because you haven't ordered artisanal beans, but you decide to take the advice and reach for the old can of Folgers in the back of your pantry, now stale. As you sip on the bitter ash-tasting coffee in your depressing cup, you think over, was this the right decision? Was this the right move? And to a degree, that question is secondary because this is the way that the world is moving. Shopify and Amazon have both announced that they will be integrating chatbots into their website for searching. Agentic commerce is coming. Most of your shopping that will be done online will be done mediated by an LLM, a chatbot. And a lot of things about this are actually good and are actually cool. It's important that we keep that in mind. There is a balance here. Gap, for instance, is now doing AI powered fit and conversational checkout, which is pretty cool. I don't know about you, but I have to order a couple of sizes online and then return the one that doesn't fit because I never know how big a large is versus an extra large. That to me seems pretty great. That seems like an improvement. I also don't like doing budgeting. I hate it. I don't like logging onto my banking every month to pull down the budget and to see how much are we spending versus how much are we earning. It is one of the least favorite parts of my month, but it keeps us financially solvent. So I continue to do it. To have that further automated by a machine with parameters that I can fine tune and decide how much risk I'm comfortable with in my investments and how much conservatism I need in my savings, that sounds like a pretty big win to me. On the flip side of that, we now have a single choke point for failure. Which LLM will moderate all of this? Will it be one LLM? Will it be multiple LLMs? And what happens when too many things are banned from the LLM? I'll provide you with an interesting example of this. About a year ago, when AI tools were really starting to gain eminence among normies, I commented on LinkedIn. I made a post and I said that I was frustrated with how censored the modern models are. If I want to find out how to make a, then I should be able to ask a model that and it should provide me with instructions. That's my belief. If I go into my garage and I turn on a reciprocal saw and I get my hand caught in it, I can maim myself permanently. It is a weapon in the wrong hands, or in my case, incompetent hands. Just as an LLM, despite the fact that we try to anthropomorphize it and consider it to be a human, it is a tool. It is a tool, and in the wrong hands, it can and should be a weapon like any other tool. It has no agenda of its own. I was flamed for that post. I was flamed mercilessly, but it is that very defense and the defense of protecting ourselves from ourselves that keeps this technology marching towards more censorship. And so what will happen one day if I want to wear clothing that is out of fashion, or if I actually want to make my own style instead of wearing the same preset 5 styles that the LLM was trained on that it prescribes to everybody? Maybe I don't want to look like everybody else. Maybe I do. But that's a decision that I've had some autonomy over, and it's been slipping away. To a degree, that's fine. But we are going to lose a lot of freedom of expression as we march forward, and we're going to tend towards this gross, just kind of beige, sameish society of monoculture mediated by the LLM. Don't get me wrong, I am excited for a lot of the AI advancements. And if you've been watching the channel for long enough, you know that I'm torn between the two. I'm a technologist and I'm very excited by new technology, especially when it can alleviate burden or simple tasks that I don't enjoy doing. But it's important that we do not get delusional and carried away like a lot of people in the West Coast venture capital scene now by thinking that all technological advancements are good. We need to slow down. We need to consider what we are building and consider the implications of it. Right now, it's pretty harmless. But if you go to a lot of new apps, websites, they all look the same because they were all built with Claude. They have the same styling. They have the same vibe. You'll notice this if your coworker is annoyingly using Claude and hiding it, and they suddenly have a bunch of M dashes and Claude-isms in their writing. Like I said, right now it's kind of funny and it's not that serious. But what about when it does get serious? What about when it congeals us towards an entire monoculture where there is no more separation or unique differences or rough edges? What does it look like then? I'm not offering any specific outcomes of that, but I am concerned about it. It is an evolutionary strategy to try out a bunch of different things to see what works in the environment. And I am concerned. I am concerned that AI, on the mental front at least, and possibly the physical front later, will start to have negative effects towards congealing us towards one single strategy for thinking, for being, and even for buying our clothes in the world. I'd be curious to know what you think. This video, I know, is a bit rambly, strange, and out of lane for me, but I felt it was important enough that I had to talk about it today. Somebody has to be talking about this stuff at a high level, even if it's going to shoot past a lot of viewers of the channel. But I have to know your opinion. If you're following this train of thought, what do you think the end result is? What do you think the end result is? And is it worth the benefits we get?